Hello and welcome back to the channel where we are building a video game from scratch using Love2d and Lua. So yesterday we fixed some of our sprites for the what we call pits as well as chasms. And what we're trying to fix today is exactly what we just ran into, which is our healing doesn't work. Our dying and then continue game isn't working because we took off the part where our game loads the save data, because when we deployed to the web we couldn't use that, so I just turned it off. So it's broken now in both the web and normal. So I think today we're going to work on just making sure that some of the new features we added get added to the save file so that we can load things like the cleansed water after the correct tome sheet music minigame, as well as open chests throughout different levels. We want to make sure that sort of stuff is getting saved and loaded into the game whenever we load the save file. And then I think we'll be trying to deploy a new web build of the demo, because we've added such things as the Ice Mountain shortcut and the whole sheet music for Tome 1, and the general overlay of the game is now updated. So I think it's a good point to just maybe push it to the web deployment so that people can see a little bit more of a completed game, because the web deployment's like 2 months old right now. So that's the plan for today. We'll see how far we can get. That could be ambitious or that could be totally doable. So we'll have to see. And shout out to all the new followers, because we're at 294. That's really epic. We're almost at 300 after streaming a year. So that's really cool. I mean, it's been like a year and 4 months or something, but that's amazing. So let's see here. I want to see, because yesterday we have the full chasm collision and the pit collision. So like the pits will still pull you in, but if you can align yourself, you can walk along the floor, which is like the goal of this kind of cheat room. Not a cheat room, but it's like a special bonus room that you can get some health potions for. So things like this we need to save into our inventory and then load in our whole inventory when we load game, right? So that if we exit and then restart the game, we would have it. And then we probably need a thing for us to not load our game either, so that we have a stable development environment for different levels and stuff, so that it works for anyone who's playing, not just my save file, So yeah, we should have not too hard of a time for this, but we'll see. So we're using a library called Bitzer, which will serialize data into a binary file, and then it also loads the binary file. So we have this Bitzer. I want to see, because I know for the web deployment we kind of turned it off. So see how we don't require it. So let's turn it back on, Bitzer. And then we're going to see where we called this save load file, this save game file and load game file. What is it? Save data, save player data, load player data. So where do we actually execute these functions? Save player data and load player data. Right now we're doing it here. We do it, okay. Yeah, we're doing it. We add it at K just so that we can test it, but it's also when we interact with a meditation idol. So if we're in the dialogue option of a meditation idol, we're going to say, let's save the player data here. And then if we rest, we're also going to save the player data. Okay. So how this is working is we have a save data utility field on our dialog box. And like I'm half telling this to explain it to you, half telling it to remind me of it. So save data utility. It's on our dialog box. So it's like, see how save data is a object that we're putting in the utility for the dialog box. And if we look at what a save data is an object with a bunch of, it's just a table of different key value pairs, right? So I'm not sure where this current map is pulling from. But basically we have, you know, let's look at our save player data, right? We have this save data, and we're going to save into a key called health, and we're going to save the global player's health. We don't have the current map. This 40 is not right, so I don't know what this 40 is for. But yeah, we're saving different things like the player coordinates, the player's direction, the coin count, the rupee count. We also need to save like, crap. And you know what? The worst thing is we cannot store tables, or we cannot store classes in here. So this is where we kind of got hiccuped last time, is like, it'd be nice for us to say, hey, just copy our whole global inventory system, put it in an index, serialize it. Then when we pull it out to load it, just unpack the class and put it back in its spot, you know, but the game doesn't work like that. I should say Lua doesn't work like that. Or I should say the Bitzer library doesn't work like that. So basically all we're doing is saying when we save player data, we're going to open that binary file for writing. We're going to basically Bitzer dump all that save data we just saved into a serialized variable. We're going to write that variable, we're going to close it, and then that's all we do. We just basically overwrite the old save with the new save. Yo, Sora, what's up, dude? Welcome in. Okay. So we need to, when we save our game, we need to pull out the current map. We need to find how we're using this, because we have the current map row and column. We also need to figure out how to pull the active inventory items and their current slots. So that's going to be tough, right? Because that's a class. So it's going to be tough to we can't just save the whole class object. We have to kind of extract them. Yeah, the save data is what we're kind of working on today. It's gonna be, oh, here, look at this. We have this current map. Yeah. Okay, so I don't think we're using the current map load at the moment, because when we save the current map, basically we just need to, where is our save data? Right here. See this current map. We say if there is a current map, we cycle through our load. If it's a current map, then we extract. This is weird. We don't need this, because we're only using, well, I guess it comes down to this global scene view, because where are we reinitializing a scene view? I guess we're just manipulating it here. Okay. Okay. Okay, so what I do want to do is turn back on the easy save and load so that we can test this a little easier. So when we do this save player data method in our dialog box, dude, it's, well, especially because like I've never done this sort of stuff before, so it's like it's all new to me and I don't know how to structure it. So I'm kind of making it up as I go along because I really don't know what the hell's going on. Figuring it out. But it is cool, like I know it works. I've tested it where if you don't have a save data, but you save the game by resting or meditating, the file generates itself. Like the save player data generates itself, and it's a binary file, so people can't just right click and text edit it and then change, like, give me 500 health. They can't quite do that. If they were smart enough to go get the Bitzer library and write a script in Lua to go serialize all that data, they can extract it and see and then resave it and then re-import it if they really wanted to. But I'm cool with that. But I you know, if people can just right click it and type you know, health is 50 or whatever, then it's gonna ruin some of the game. I mean, like, it's totally moddable, all the stuff is open source, but you know, just put like a little bit of a hoop there so that normies can't just break the game, you know? Like, the people who want to tinker with it can totally tinker with it, but normies can't break the game. I think that's the good metric there. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and then we have stuff like this. Yeah, okay. I totally missed this. We need to update the harvest time for the mineral deposits in the shortcut, which I don't even know what scene it's in. We've got to do that. Because I didn't want to just cycle through all the tables for mineral deposits because there were so few, but we have one right here at 213. So we need to go do the same thing, but for 213. This is our reset, so people can't just farm minerals by walking off screen, coming back on. There's a little bit of a timer that needs to happen, so mineral deposits have a update function that just counts how long since they've been harvested, and they'll reset their state if you enter a scene and it's been past that threshold of time. But like little stuff like this, you know, we'd have to remember anytime we put in a mineral deposit, go add it to this loop here, which isn't great. So we could just cycle through all our scenes, and if there is a valid mineral deposit, cycle through each one of them and update them. But we do have 200 scenes and only 2 scenes with mineral deposits. So at least right now it kind of makes sense to just build it out per... I don't know. You know, this is all stuff I'm kind of learning about, like when to refactor code in certain ways and when not to. So just a learning curve thing. Okay. So I know when we press K and L, I want to turn on the loading. We've got load player data on L and K. Okay. So if I walk around the map and hit K, it should save it. And then if I press L, it should load it, which we load in a meditated state like that. So it seemingly works. Let's make sure it can change the scene. Cool. Okay. Now we do need another couple things like... Yo, thanks, Sora. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's... You know, it's I think the best way to learn is to get like just enough to get you walking, and then you try to do it yourself. So like, I'm not following a tutorial for this, but I followed the tutorial to get me kind of walking, and then I started kind of just coming up with whatever I could to do it myself. So it is definitely coming along. But yeah, it's been cool to see the process. So look, if I just meditate there, then hit L, see how the meditation should have overwritten that save, but it didn't. So I've got to make sure that that dialog box save player data is indeed saving on a dialog box update right here. What is this? Save player data. This is a meditation idle. Okay, so it looks like we maybe had it only for sleeping and not for meditating. Oh god. And then I'll find lines like this. I think this is junk. To do check multi-page dialog boxes end up existing if reset current page. Like, dude, what was I... What? What? Okay, so I hit L. It remembered the save file from my last game, which is cool. But look, we're not loading the animatables, so that's a big issue. If we go off and come back on, it loads them, but doesn't initially load them. That's not good. Let's see. We meditate, then we hit L. Okay, it does remember that save now. Now if we load it and come back to it, it should put us back at the meditation idle where we were. Let's see. Yes. But our animation is not updating. Yeah, our animatable tiles are not updating here. So this is an issue. I mean, it gets fixed on a scene transition, right? We walk off, we come back, they start animating again. And then if we load at that point, they're animating. So there's something going on there where they're animating. You know, who knows what's causing that? Dude, that's gonna be rough to find because I don't know. Let's see what could cause that. What could cause that is when we hit L. You know what? Because like the idea is it knows the tile ID that goes in the sprite there, but it's either not updating our global animatables or it isn't reassigning the animatable anim spitters upon a load. I don't know. What we can do to test this is go to our play state, and in our render we can just say, you know what, let's love.graphics print, and we're gonna print out a string that's called frame, and what we're gonna do is concatenate a string, and it's gonna pull from our flowers global animatable, and we're gonna pull the actual frame that should be there, and we're gonna just put that at the top of the screen so we can see it. You can only meditate at a meditation idle, Sora. But there's a meditation idle. So see how our frame right here is cycling through? That's the frame that the flowers should be updating at. So those are the tile IDs of any flower in the world at any given time. So it's like even as we walk around, those still cycle. Whether or not we have a flower on screen, that's the frame of the flower. But if we hit load, see, look at this. So our animatable is updating still. So, oh, look at this though. We're pulling, oh wow, we're pulling the animatables from the other scene. Because look, we need to copy over the animatables because we just pulled, you know, these flowers aren't animating, but these ones are, because these ones are from the scene where we loaded the game. So, dude, this is wild. Yeah. Because as soon as we get over here, you know, we load the correct stuff. It's just that when we load, we're pulling the animatables from whatever scene. So if we pull, you know, if we load here with a bunch of water, there's a bunch of water on this scene. If we load our game here, holy shit. Yeah, that's what I thought it would do. Not what I need it to do, but what I thought it would do. Okay. So we just have to take a bit of a dig at looking how our animatables are working. Because, dude, and Sora, like, there's no one way to make anything, right? There's, you know, it's just, you know, it's just taste and style when it comes to execution. So it's like, this is happening because of, you know, some limitation of how I managed to insert animated tiles with the current workflow we've got. So we can take a look at what's happening with the animatables. Because, like, I mean, I'm okay to turn this off. We know our animatables are working. We've addressed more of the issue, which is when we load, we're not loading any of the new animatables. We're still rendering whatever animatables on the scene that we loaded, which it won't mess up if we load the game like normal, right? Like if a player loads the game, gosh, it's hard to tell because, yeah, because okay, so we'll. This is one of the things that it's like this bug is only really for our testing purposes, because if the player, because basically in the game you can't load a screen on a different screen that you saved it in, because it'll always load the last save data, and the last save data is always the screen you're currently in. So when we go and dilly-dally and walk off screen and then try to force a load instead of a load like the game would normally do, it's pulling the animatables from the scene we were in instead of the scene we saved it in. So if the player saves it, it should work normal. So let's test that real quick, because I think if we look at this 7.4 and then we go and change our spawn point to 7.4, I bet you if we load the game from booting, I bet the real animatable flowers will be there instead of when we test it by pressing L and they're broken. I would bet that this 7.4, let's see. So 7.4 will load our game, and it loads from us meditating at the idol. Well, actually it doesn't. Let's try that again. Let's meditate, save our game. I don't think we load our game upon loading, but it does pull in the animatable tiles correctly. So it's just that when we go and do it our testing way, where we kind of just hit L, that it pulls the wrong animatable. So let's see if we can track this down. So let's just go back to the very beginning of our anim spitter, is what we call it. Anim spitter is a class, and it takes in a starting quad and an ending quad and a speed. This is that flower.frame that it spits out, right? So here's where we're incrementing that frame. Here's where we loop it from the starting to the end, and this is how it's getting the frame over time. So it's an anim spitter, we call it. So where do we actually invoke this? We have global anim spitters. Those are those all caps constants, or not constants, but all caps, whatever you want to call them. They're just anim spitter objects. So we know that this is working. We know that this is working, but let's see why when we load it, you know, when we load it, we need to kind of reset our anim spitter for the scene. Now we kind of had to do this in the opening cinematic, because our opening cinematic has other animations. So how we did it in the opening cinematic was we had a table called animatables that we just give ourselves the table, right? And then we say animatables gets insert animation. So what's an insert animation? Well, insert animation takes a map row and column for our scene. It also updates all of the animatables, and this is part of what is going to be rendering on screen, right? Because this is kind of, yeah, this is kind of weird, dude. This is wild how we did this, because there's no render function for the insert anim. we could get rid of that. But basically all we're doing is one, we're updating the dot frame of every anim spitter for any animatable thing we have. Right now we only have like 8. But then the other thing we're doing is saying we're going to cycle through all the things that are in this dot animatables table on our scene. And we're going to, this is like an interesting way to do it. I don't know if it's good, but we're invoking every function that's in the animatables table. That's what the empty parentheses here is. We're calling it like a function. So whatever's in the table of animatables, we're going to go execute every function in there. So that's what an insert animation, when it's updated, does. Really kind of strange. You know, we could have done this so many different ways, but our insert animation is now in the dot animatables in our opening cinematic. So in our opening cinematic, we're updating it, which gives us the new dot frame for every animatable. And then where do we actually by updating it, we invoke all of those functions, because that's what the update has. We cycle through the dot animatables. So as long as the big important thing is the map row and column we pass in to the insert animation, because that's the scene that's actually going to get the updated animatables. Because if we look at what the function is that's in here that does anything, let's go find that, because it's in the dot animatables table. So we'll look for the dot animatables, and I'll show you what's hiding inside. I always forget where it's at. Right here. So when we declare our map, we're basically saying if any of the tile has the same tile ID as the starter of the animation, then we're actually going to insert into the animatables table a function. Like an actual function is being stored inside the table. And multiple ones, because if the whole scene is 60 water animatable starters, then we're going to insert 60 functions for the animatable starter at whatever location it is when we declare it. So the function we're inserting is this insert anim. And this is strange, man. Like, it should probably be a method, because right now it's just a global function just chilling in the insert anim class. And I don't like that it's called insert anim instead, like in the insert animation class. It's just a weird way to do it. But this is all that we're doing is, you know, we say we're invoking the function. Well, what function is it? Well, it's literally this function. We don't say that. We don't say that here, but we can say, you know, the above function runs insert anim from down below. You know, I don't think it makes much sense to have it here, but this is just how we have it. And basically all it's doing is changing the .id field of the tile table of our scene view's current map, which is just whatever scene we're looking at, whatever tile ID we're looking at gets a new tile ID of whatever this anim turned out to be, which we pass in an anim. So if we look at what anim we actually pass in, we pass in the dot frame of our global animatable. So it's straight from my brain. I don't know how other people do this. This is just what I came up with. But after kind of like re-talking through what it's doing, we should, if we wanted to fix that issue of loading the new insert anims, we need to invoke all those functions, right? Because that's what's actually giving the new .ids, because like that's the .id is what isn't right now. So we need to run insert anim with the correct scene in order to make it work. And in order to make it work, we should just basically just we need a table to hold the actual instantiation of an insert anim with the map row and column that we're trying to load into. And then all we have to do is update that insert anim, and then that should fix the issue. We'll give it a shot, though. I don't think it'll be that easy. We'll see. So we want this insert anim. Now let's snag an example from when we run this insert anim. Yeah, right here. So we're just gonna snag an example, and it's not here. Yo, Kavictus, what's up, man? This is where we basically insert it into the table, which this is fine. This is in the declarations. We know from the get-go what animatables go where. We just need to actually cycle through and actually invoke it. So we already have it in the .animatables of our map. And in the 2D array, I call this the scene, but it's not actually a scene instantiation. But that's a whole nother story. But let's try to just cycle through this table. When we load, we need to cycle through this table, and we need to invoke every function that's in there. And we already have a way to do this by just updating an insert anim. It's actually updating a insert animation. Because see how we're actually cycling through. So as long as our insert anim has an init of a map row and column to update, all we should have to do is update said map row and column, and it should actually invoke all the functions in there, which should give us the proper IDs in there. Now, I'm trying to think of like, because in order to get these continuously updating, we kind of need to invoke this over and over and over again, right? Because it's like, it's not like this is just an anim spitter, so this is just changing the tile ID every who knows how long. But we can't just we'd have to update the insert animation over time so that we can continuously update this. What, your CPU? Like your biological CPU? Kavictus? Okay. So yeah, all we have to do is create an insert animation instantiation and then update it whenever we load. And as long as we pass in the map row and map column, we should get the proper stuff. So Kavictus, this is the big issue. I'll just show you real quick. If we go to a scene where has a lot of animatables, like all these flowers, and then we try to load the game by pressing L, all the flowers are animating from the old scene, not the new scene. So this isn't an issue for people playing the game, because when they load it, it will load the correct scene's animation, which we can hopefully prove just by doing this. See how they're updating here. We need to actually load the game when we boot. So there should be a load player data, because we weren't meditating, and that means we didn't actually load the game. So load player data is what it's called, and we should toggle this on when we option select. See, and this is a bit much too. It's not right here. We basically just need to load player data before we do anything. So we do it here in a title screen. Gosh, yeah. We kind of just have to do this maybe in main. Well, because when the player's playing, yeah. So I guess the way to really do it is we would just go to our main, and we would actually just make sure that when we go, oh my gosh. Yeah, let's go to main.lua, and we'll just say, instead of changing our state machine to play state, let's just change the title state, because when you continue from a title state, that's when it actually loads. Okay, so this proves my point. We're meditating, which means we are actually have loaded the binary save data, and the flowers are correct. So when we go and load the player data from over here, that's when it pulls the wrong anims. So this isn't for people playing, but it's for me playing when I'm developing, so that we don't accidentally load the wrong anim spitter. So let's go to where we actually press L to load, and instead of doing this, you know, we need to make I'll just make a local animatables, and it's gonna be an insert animation class instantiation, and we need to pass it in the scene row and scene column. So once we load the data, into the global scene view. So we should have current map dot row, and then scene view dot column. Okay, so we're gonna we have a variable of this thing, and we just need to then update with delta time. So this only happens once upon a key press. But what we're doing is essentially kind of force reloading the tile IDs of our current scene. Then after we're pressed, it should just update the animatables as normal. So I'm hoping something like that would work. But scene view, current map. Okay, it didn't crash, so let's try it on let's try it with a new animatable somewhere. So we have flowers here, we loaded it, it still holds the old flowers. Let's see. Yeah, man, it's still pulling the old flowers. So, updating the animatables, you know, either the scene view isn't right here, or gosh, man, I don't know what to do. Scene view current map column. Let's see how we do it in the opening cinematic again. Yeah, we do it just like that. We have it from scene view current map dot row and column, which we had it just like that. And then dot animatables. Okay, we just update with delta time. That's exactly what we're doing. And that's it. Yeah, we just colon update with delta time. Who was that? Who was that, Cavictus? That was not subtle, dude. That was not subtle. You gotta hide that in a cough or something, dude. You gotta try. You gotta try a little. Gotta try a little, or blame it on somebody. You could have blamed it on Sora. I would have bought that. Okay. God, this is wild, man. What the heck is the state machine current animatables? Yeah, man, take credit for it. If it's a good one, take credit for it. Okay. Apparently there's a animatables table in the state machine. Which should be the self animatables. Yeah. Dude, I mean, we're doing it the same way. We're doing it the same way. Oh no. A little Togepi just freaking punted a Dragonite, dude. I watched it. I watched it happen. It is canon. Okay, so the only thing I could think of is that the load save file is not actually pulling the scene view's current map row. So let's try hard coding in something real quick and see if that's the right hunch. So when we press L, instead of loading from the scene view, let's just do a test. And what we're gonna test is we're gonna try to update the animatables of the scene we know we're gonna load into, just as a test. So this is a scene 7.4. So when we press this, load, we load in a 7.4. So let's say 7.4, that's the animatables that we ultimately want to update, so that we overwrite the animatables table, the tile IDs of the animatables. So let's see if that works. Because if we go, let's see. Okay, so we're loading fine. We have flowers over here. Oh, I saw it load for like a half second. It did it right. Oh, look at this. Look at, if I keep spamming load, it does pull the original animations, but then it overwrites. So we need to actually overwrite the animatables table. So we kind of need to go, okay, I think the way we do this is we can go into the global state machine.current .animatables and assign it to be the animatables that we're doing. Well, yeah, it should be an insert. Let's see. Let's see. I don't know if that'll work. We walk over here, we load. It worked. It worked. I think I could turn off the update animatables. Okay. Yeah? Okay. Okay. Well, so this is just a thing, you know, this isn't, let's try it. Let's try it and make sure it kind of works. I can save it. As the developer, I can save it outside of a meditation state, so I'm kind of curious to just kind of try to save it in here. Load. See, this is wrong. What the We're doing the same thing. Oh my gosh, dude. But yeah, when we load it... Oh, it's because it's pulling from 7.4. Yeah, we did the hard code. So yeah, we don't want to do this. We want to see if the load player data has a current map row or something in the save utility that we can kind of just like access. So let's just take a look at the load player data. Not that, not that. Right here, okay. So we pull out things like the scene view current map row. So as we do this, we assign the value that's stored inside into the scene views map row map column. So we should be able to say, yeah, we should be able to say scene view map row and scene view map column. That's what we messed up last time. Okay. So let's try that. So now we shouldn't load the 7.4 every time, but let's try. Let's save it. We meditate, we save it. I'm gonna come in here, load. It works there. So now let's try to save it in here. We'll save it. I'll come out here. We'll load it, and we don't have the animatables. So that's looking like it's working. If we do it again, still works. We do need to reset the entities upon a load, but also that's just one of those things that when I press L, it doesn't do it, but it would reset it. For anyone playing the game, it would reset it. But that what we have there is good enough for us to be able to use the save and load for testing. So we'll continue to chug along and try to see if we can get the magic potions to save and load, as well as our treasure chest. Yo, Warren, what's up? Yo, I didn't see you were in here. How's it going? Yeah, my chat is just not scrolling for me. Like it doesn't, like normally it kind of, I can just see it, but I had to auto scroll to see it there. Yo, what's up? Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, we're loading. We've made a decent amount of progress in the game, but we're trying to, yeah, we're trying to just work on some saving and loading and stuff. So we're trying to load now. This is going to be the tough one because we have to load into our inventory system. You know, oh gosh, it's tough. Because, you know, depending on what people equip and unequip, their save file might have different things in different spaces because of the way the inventory is set up. But we have to have a way of kind of saving what inventory is unlocked and what inventory is equipped. Oh god. Oh god. Okay, so we've got a magic potion over here. So once we open the chest, we have it in our inventory, and it's equipable. So the hard thing is, we can't, since our global item inventory is a class, we can't just serialize the whole class. It has to be... Oh, yeah, you can't serialize a table, if I'm remembering Bitzer correctly. You can only serialize just like data, like values. So that's why when we have our save player data method, let's see. Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, when we have this, we kind of extract it into keys, right? So we make a key, we assign it, we assign it, we assign it, we assign it. So when we load it, we can't just overwrite our whole inventory system. We have to do it one step at a time. Like we have to say, let's save whatever the current player's equipped item is. Let's make sure that's still equipped. But then we have to gosh, it's like, dude, I don't know what the best way of doing this is, because yo, Merksu, what's up? Yo, welcome in. Good to see you, dude. Yeah, because if you think about it, like when we load our inventory, let's say, you know, in our inventory we've got a loot, we've got a magic potion. Then we equip the magic potion. So we have the magic potion unlocked, and our save file needs to know about that. Or it needs to know just the contents of what's in either the current equipped item slot and the global item inventory slot. So we don't necessarily need booleans for, like, you know, if health, you know, because there's a couple ways to do it. We could just unequip everything on the player, and just whatever we have equipped we just put in the inventory, but that doesn't feel good, right? Like, if you leave the game with your fire spell equipped and you save it, when you come back to the game, it should have the fire spell equipped. So at the very least, it should carry whatever you're currently equipped through. It should save and load whatever is currently equipped on both slots. But the problem comes in the item inventory, because we can not only have these things unlocked, but they can be in multiple places. So it's almost like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to. I guess for the demo, it's not so bad because there's only 2 items. There's only the loot and the health potion for the demo. So with only those 2 things, if we had it, like, let's spawn us up in the shortcut so that we can get the potion. So let's go up to 3.5 when we spawn, and we can just see the different combos. So we'll go over here to 3.5. Okay, so we got our magic potion. We can now equip it here, but look at how I program this, where if we equip something, if we equip something with something else equipped, it changes in the slot. So now magic potion is in that slot 1, or loot is in slot 1, and we can't ever get something, you know, we can't move the item slots. It only just replaces whatever you've got with whatever you've selected, if whatever you've selected is in the slot, right? As long as that slot isn't empty, then it'll swap it. So I guess for the demo, it's a little easier, right? Where we can say, you know, I'm partially wanting to figure out the better way to go about this by the time we need it for the real game, instead of just doing like a demo fix. But the save and load needs to know what you've got currently equipped, and if what you've got currently equipped is a loot, we also need to be able to say, okay, well, we need to render a magic potion in their inventory if they've got the magic potion before. So when we save the game, we need to check to see if magic potion is in the slot. If it is in the slot, we've already got it. Therefore, we need to copy both its existence from the inventory slot as well as its quantity. Copy that into the save data, and then when we load it, we need to load it into the item inventory slot. Or it's actually, we need to update the actual item class, because that's what's rendering in both the HUD and the inventory system. So let's just take a look at our inventory system and see where we're saving the magic potion. Do I call it health potion? I call it health potion. Okay. Okay. So yeah, this is weird. This is weird. But basically, this is what it is. We have a dedicated slot for the health potion. It's at 1-2, which is first row, second column. 1 is just the only item that's in that table. And it has a .image, it has a .quantity, and it has a .type. So the .image Man, where are we even pulling this, dude? We gotta pull it from the item class. Yeah. Okay. Gosh, it's crazy. Because, yeah, ideally we just say copy our whole inventory. I'm trying to think of how that would work. We cannot serialize tables. Okay. Okay, so I think does our global player Okay, we're going to save a new field called Health Potion Unlocked into our player class. And when we save the game, we need to save from the player's Health Potion Unlocked bool that status. So, oh no. Okay. So in our save player data method, we're going to come in here. Yeah, right here. We need a new key for whether or not we've unlocked the potion. And we're going to copy that value from the health potion unlocked bool. Okay, so health potion unlocked. Now when we go to extract it, and dude, I don't know. I know there's a better way to do this. I really don't know what to do. But basically we're cycling through all the keys of the serialized binary file, or deserialized binary file, and then we're gonna check the keys that we saved stuff in and copy the value into the appropriate spot upon load. So we're gonna say, oh my god. Yeah, we're gonna say that our global player dot health potion unlocked is equal to the value that's stored in the key of health potion unlocked in the save data table. Okay, so that doesn't do anything except get us that boolean correct when we save and load. So now we need to find a way to, I guess the first step is let's make sure that the equipped item gets saved and loaded also. Now it's kind of tough. Oh my gosh, man, there's so much stuff. Because it's like I have Flama equipped from the get-go to make it easier as a developer. Same with the green tunic, so I don't have to go and do that. So anything we're trying to test, so I have to like take off the shortcut that makes it easy for myself so that we can test it. So I mean, it's got to happen. It's got to happen sometime, right? So kind of just got to do it. Because once a health potion's unlocked, the health potion could either be equipped or chilling in the item inventory. So I think the move is we don't copy the inventory in the exact positioning it was when they saved it. But if they've got the loot, it'll be in the loot designated spot. If they've got the health potion, it'll be in the health potion designated spot. And so I think that items just kind of have to live in their own little spot. unless we wanted to manually copy over every... Yeah, let's if we were to do that, right, we would have to say, since we can't serialize a table, and you know what, maybe we should just try. Let me see, because I know we I think we tried this in the past and we just came to this conclusion, which is why we have to do this slow key saving one value at a time. Okay, so it can serialize a table, but it looks like it just can't serialize a class. Okay, so if we wanted to copy over the whole item inventory as it was, we'd have to go through, loop through every row, every column of the inventory and copy over, you know, the 3 fields, which is the dot image, no, the dot image is generated from the item itself. So we should just copy over the contents and the type. So if we were to copy over the contents and the type into the save data, then when we load it, we should have access to the image. Let's see our item class again. Okay, so it's an option and a quantity for the item. Okay, that makes sense. So if it's a bag, we have a bag image. If it's a health potion, we have a health potion image, as well as whatever quantity. And then, oh my gosh, man. Yeah, you know what? I think it's going to be best to just copy to the correct slot the correct values. And it's the correct slot not in what was in their item inventory, but if they've got it unlocked, to kind of give it to them. So let's go back to our... Wait, what is this save data .lua? This is okay, this is the actual class. Okay. Okay. So let's copy over the global like whatever's currently equipped, right? So we have this A slot equipped. Is this on the player? I don't remember. No, we have this item slot, key item slot sort of deal. Okay, so this global item inventory slot, what is actually in here is an item, which we cannot serialize. But we could serialize its contents. And then put it... Yo, Kavictus, yo, thank you so much, dude. That is so nice of you. Thank you for the gift sub, dude. Yeah, Merksu's a channel friend, so I'm sure he appreciates it. Thank you, dude. Okay, so yeah, we can't serialize the class of the item that's in there, but we can serialize the data that we need to reinitialize it. So the all it is an option and a quantity. So all we should have to do is when we go to save, we need to create a key that holds the global item inventory, or it's the item slot. Was it item slot? Uh-oh. Yo, thanks, Kivictus. That is super nice of you. It is the global item. Oh, are you out? You out? Yo, peace out, dude. Yeah, get some good sleep, dude. Thanks for hanging. Okay, item slot. Item slot. Item slot. Okay, this is wild. Okay. So our global item inventory dot item slot. Okay. So yeah, it is G item inventory item slot. So this will be, we could truncate this to item slot. Now item slot is an item and it has a field of option and quantity, right? So the option is whatever, which could be it would be the item inventory. Let's get this. Item inventory, item slot, index 1. Now we only want to copy this over if it's not nil, right? So if we don't have an item slot there, we don't want to copy an empty table, I guess. Yeah, because if we load it, I don't know. Okay, so item slot option, we're going to copy from the global item inventory item slot, and it is option, right? Because item slot is in, if an item is in there, it has a items option field. It has a dot type. Oh my. See, that's why we gotta double check these things. Okay, so it's a dot type. So it's dot type. Type is what it is. Is it a health potion? Is it a berry? What is it? So we're going to copy into the item slot type key the actual item slot type that is equipped, if there is something equipped. And then if there is something equipped, we want to also copy over the item slot quantity. So we'll say item slot 1 quantity to copy that over as well. Now I'm trying to think, if someone saves and there is no item slot, then when we load, we just have to check, hey, is there a item slot key? If there's no item slot key, then don't copy it over. And I guess that's where the nested if conditions kind of come in handy there, where like we're not going to crash because we're just checking for equality on every key string. So when we go to load, we're saying, well, if the key is item slot type, then we're going to go into our global item inventory and set its item slot index 1 type equal to the value that's stored in that key. And if there is a quantity saved, we also copy over the quantity. Okay. So let's see. I mean, we don't crash. Can we save and load? Yes. Okay. Now there's nothing equipped. So now there's a loot equipped. So let's save our game. Now let's load it. And loot still is equipped. So that seemingly works. That seemingly copied over the item inventory. It left our item inventory empty, so I'm kind of curious. Because if we have a magic spell, but then we go to load, since our game doesn't have any flushing of the item, it has the health potion in here, but it did not load it. It just didn't change the global item inventory. So we kind of have to check, we have to check across saves. So like when I load the game, will the health potion be in there? And it's not, because it wasn't saved as part of the global inventory system. But if we save it with this equipped, and we save it with it equipped and then try to load the game again, it's not equipped. But if we actually start our game from the title screen, I wonder if it has the loot equipped. So let's try that, because the last time we saved it, we had item inventory slot 1 equipped with a loot. So we're going to try to load the game here. It's not equipped. So we did not do this right. So let's go and see. We had an item slot type and quantity. I guess what we could do, we should probably test maybe upon saving a file and loading a file, we can just print to console the value of those tables so that we can go dig back and see. It'd be nice if we can export a little like data log as a file, because Bitzer kind of just serializes it in a binary and deserializes it, but there's no easy way to view it. So I guess we could try printing up. This is a save data. So if we look at where we kind of initialize this, it's a save data utility in a bunch of different screens. So we'll go to the play state. Save player data. Save utility. Okay. Save utility. So I guess what we could try to do is we could try to print onto the screen the value of whatever table gets loaded. So let's go back to our save data. Yeah, we don't have... It'd be nice if we can just export this as like a .lua file or something, like, so that we can kind of just dig through it. So let's just try to add to the end of the load function. Let's just add where we print up to the console the value and the key of whatever was made. So let's try that. We'll say love.graphics print, and we want to print the key as a string, which it is. So we'll print the string, and then we'll concatenate that with the actual value. And then, since this is in the loop, everything that's getting loaded should print out. So in our main, we should be able to say, it's actually in our conf. Yeah, conf data console gets true. So let's try that. Okay, so we're going to load our game, and then we're going to see if anything prints to the console there upon loading. I didn't see it because we used Love.graphics print and didn't give it an argument instead of just printing with Lua. So let's try that. Okay, I didn't see it print to the console, and this is in the load player data, yeah, which gets called whenever we start a game from the title screen. So yeah, I don't see it. So what, we changed the conf, right? Yep, data console. Let's see it again. Oh. Okay. So it did kind of work. So we must not be, we must not be loading the game. What the heck? We must not be loading the game on a title screen state. Oh, you know what? I think the title screen state has a different instantiation of the save data utility. We do have its own initialization, so, but once start is played, oh, we aren't freaking loading it here. Okay, so we'll load it. Yeah, we'll load it on the title screen state. That was my bad. Okay. So now that we're loading it, let's go back to our save data. Yeah, and we're gonna take off this. We're just gonna print this up. So we're gonna say, you know, we're gonna say loaded, and we loaded K, concatenate with an empty string space. Okay. Okay, let's try this now. So we have the data console on. We're going to try to load it from the title screen and see what pulled over. Save data 30 could not find a current animation. Save data 30. For right now, I'm just going to turn that off. Okay, so there it goes. It says, you know, we loaded the coin count, we loaded the current map, we loaded the health potion unlocked. We saved. Okay. So yeah, as long as it's, you know, one index deep into the table, it did save all that stuff, but I was looking for the item slot. So let's try to save with an active item slot and see if that gets printed up the next time we save. So we're trying to equip something in the item slot, like the loot, and then we save. Actually, we just loaded, so now we'll save it. Now we'll load it. Item slot type loot. It did pull it. It did pull it. Once it was equipped and I saved it, then loaded it, it did save the item slot type loot. Oh my gosh, why? Okay, well, it did save it. It did save it. So let's go back to, yeah, let's go back to our save. It did save item slot type loot. It knew it was a loot. Did it print up the quantity? There is no quantity for loot. So let's try to equip the magic potion and make sure that loads both options from our current, what the, yeah, what was it met at? 61. Okay, yeah, this is weird. Because it's like, it didn't like that there was no item slot 1 to go dig into the first item of, but we were only asking if the key was this, so it's like this, I don't get why this crashed. We could do this in a nested if, I don't know, man, if it just doesn't like when I do that. We can first ask if it's, you know, if they're, and we can't, this is in the load. Gosh, man, I don't even know. I don't think that'll stop it. Oh, well, it did. Okay, whatever. We're gonna pull a magic health potion into our active item slot. Then we're gonna save it. Then we're gonna load. It doesn't look... Oh, yeah. It did pull it. Okay, great. So look, it pulled the health potion, and it pulled how many health potions we have. So that is good. Okay. So now we just need... I don't like... there's got to be a better way to do this, because I did not think that would fix it, but it did. I guess I half-heartedly thought it would fix it. Okay, so I think we just need to flush this player data after we get our player... Well... why does this not work from the title screen? Because we don't have the player initialized. And I guess the load player data refresh, this current animation refresh is only really for our developer save and load, so I don't think this matters for the player experience. But we copy over the item slot, both its quantity and its type. So I guess the next thing we should test is we should equip a health potion, we should use a couple of them, or just one of them, and then we should save it, then we should quit the game, and then we should load from the title screen. And if we have the health potion equipped with the right quantity, then it'll be a success for that part. So let's try that. Okay, so we're going to get a health potion. We're going to use it once to have 9. We're going to save the game. We're going to quit. Then we're going to play the game again. And we're going to load from the title screen. I didn't see it load. It didn't load. It didn't load. What's weird... That's weird, man. When we loaded the game from the title screen, it loaded the health potion as the item slot type and the item slot quantity. Yet it didn't become equipped. Cause it says the item slot that we loaded. Yeah, it says item. Now it says item slot quantity 9, which is correct, and the item slot health potion, which is correct. But we need... Dude. Oh, I hate this. There's something else to equip it into the HUD, and I don't know what that is at the moment, so we have to kind of find that. Well, it's just a render from the global item inventory slot. So when we go to render it, it renders the item that's in the slot. So we don't have an actual item, we just have the variables of the item. So yeah, we would have to kind of make either a separate method that would reinitialize the .image of an item, or we can just reinitialize the item slot with the two values we've got, which is probably the move. But I don't want to reinitialize a health potion in the slot if you've got a health potion equipped, because then you can clone it. But I guess let's take it one step at a time and try. Let's try to reinitialize it on load. So in our save data, when we load, we're going to do this where we're going to say our global item inventory. Can we even do this? We're going to say, oh my gosh, man. Basically, we're going to say if there is a thing that we copied over. Oh man, no, this isn't right. We'd have to reinitialize the item inventory and pass it in a new item from these two keys that we just saved up here. Let's take a look at where we initialize this item inventory. Like, where do we actually create it? Right here. In the play state. Okay. So we might have to reinitialize this. We might have to say because if we go from a title state to a play state, this does get reinitialized. So if we play it like the player would, it should reinitialize an inventory class, but we still aren't rendering what's technically equipped. So where are we actually rendering what's equipped? Right here in the play state, we say if there's an item equipped, render the item that's in there. Okay. So yeah, so we're back to this issue. Our global item slot is not actually reinitialized with the item. Okay, so I think what we have to do, even though changing from a title state to a play state would reinitialize this, so I feel like that would break it if a player is coming from a title screen to load. Then they're kind of, reinitializing the default item slot equips. So how do we do this? Because when we load, we don't change to a play state until after we load. Is that right? So when we go to load player data, Yeah, we changed the play state after. Okay, so what we could do is after we load the player data from the save data utility, we could then reinitialize, because changing it to play state should reinitialize the item slot. So we might be able to get away with going into this and saying item slot. What even is it, man? Item slot at index 1. And we're just going to say the actual item that's in there is the value of whatever we pulled from our save data utility. Now, when we load it, do we actually save the file anywhere? We save the file. We don't really, yeah, we don't save the, oh man, dude. Yeah, because this is a pickle, because we don't save the data anywhere. We just use the data and overwrite what it's supposed to change. But then we kind of reinitialize the item inventory once we change after we've loaded. So I guess let's try to do this. Let's try to say, you know what? We're also gonna put yeah, I think the move is here, at least to try this, is say if there is an item slot, let's forget about copying over the type and quantity just yet. And what we want to do is, why is this blocked out? Okay, so if there is an item slot, let's try to go into the item slot, and we're going to reinitialize it to be an item. And for now, we're going to try to give it this health potion and quantity. So let's just see if we try to reinitialize it with both the type and the quantity, if something like that would work from the title screen. Well, yo, Warren, thank you for the prime, homie. Yo, thank you, dude. I appreciate that. Is that an emote or what? Because we did pass it. Mine's 80 minutes a day, so that's the quota. And it doesn't have to be, it has to be an average of 80 minutes a day, right? So like yesterday I was helping out some friends with a film shoot, and I ended up not having a ton of energy or time to program. So luckily I had like a 3-hour stream on Monday, or I don't know when, but I hit the quota, so I was able to kind of relax and not feel guilty too about not streaming last night. So that was kind of nice. Okay, this is just not going so well. Let's go back to our load and we'll try this. Yeah, man. Hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging, man. I mean, this is, you know, we're in the weeds of it right now, so it's not so great. Yo, what did we do here? Okay, so the goal is we want to equip the magic. We want to use it. Huh, I can't even use it. What did we change here? Okay, I think this is the one I'm looking for. Title screen update. Okay, yeah, let's try this. Well, so the issue, yeah, what sucks is the issue is we don't return any values from the load or from the save data utility. We could add a field to save it like that, and then maybe we could reinitialize the item and effectively equip it. So let's try that. Let's go back to this title screen state. Okay, so let's set a item slot type. And a quantity. Because I think we can do something where when we're saving the data, I did this in the wrong spot. Yeah, when we have to put it in the save data utility. So save data. Okay. So if this, since this is a class, we can give it an initialization of a couple fields, and we want the item slot type and quantity. And if we save it like this, then in our title screen state, when we actually load, we can do all this stuff. We can change to a play state, and then before we're fully in that state machine, we say, by the way, let's make the player's item slot type whatever we pulled from the load, if it did pull something. So here we're going to say, you know, if there is an item slot equipped, then we're going to... like, this isn't the real thing, because like the real thing we need to do is this item slot type and get the V there, and then the item slot quantity and get the V. So now in our title screen state, once we load our player data, then we change to a play state that reinitializes the item slot of the player to be empty, which is incorrect. We need it to load the item slot as a self.saveDataUtility.itemType Item, is that what it's called? Item slot type, item slot quantity. So item slot type and item slot quantity. Bad argument 1 in item. Okay. I thought we would avoid this by reinitializing the item. So it doesn't like, you know, it doesn't have the .image for the item. But I thought this would fix it. Let's see. It said bad argument 1, which is a self.image, and the self.image is assigned right here based on the option. And the option, oh, we pass it in. Yeah, we pass in the option. That becomes the type. And we set the image based on the option. So whatever we pass in as the first parameter should be the actual title of the appropriate thing. So if we had nothing equipped, which we might have, it might have not wanted to save. Yeah, we have to try to resave with item slot. I mean, are we still printing up? Are we still printing up whatever we load? Because we should have an item slot. Let's go, yeah, to our load player data. We're gonna make sure that we're okay. We do print up whether or not it's loaded. So let's see. Well, and we crashed before that, but it says we had an item slot type of health potion. We don't have an item slot quantity. That's weird. Did we say, oh yeah, we do. Item slot quantity is 9. It's up here. So we do have the two things we're looking for. Dude, what the fuck, man? That's why I hate turning on console. It just bugs out. Okay. So, I mean, dude, we saved the right thing. We saved the right thing. We saved the item slot type. So, when we crash on no image, it should be, well, we reinitialized it as an item. So, like, if we literally give it a string of health potion just to test to see if it still crashes. We manually give it a string of health potion. Wow. Well, it didn't crash. It didn't load the right quantity. It didn't put it in the right spot. What just happened, man? Because if you look, when we load, we have the right value. We have 9 potions, which it should load, but it didn't save it into our item. So that is wrong. It must be, yeah, instead of reinitializing it, but we put the item slot quantity in there. Item slot quantity. Yep. Dude, we should save it. Because this item slot index 1 quantity. Yeah, no. Because, yeah, the items. What we're printing is the value, right? It's the value and the key of whatever we are whatever we have saved, which then loads. It's just we're cycling through whatever we've saved. Everything from the bitser load love file binary data. So whenever we print loaded, what it's really saying is, well, we had a field called item slot quantity, and it was 9 at this point in time. But what load didn't do was properly put the quantity from the save data field into the global item inventory. So after we load, just reinitializing this isn't enough. We have to say, okay, well, the quantity is going to get pulled from this item slot quantity, even though we reinitialize it. I don't get why we initialize it with an item. But let me just see if this gets us our 9. No. Okay. Well, something deeper is wrong here. I am not going to figure it out tonight, but we had a good little session here trying to get most of the way. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. We fixed the animation bug for the developer tool saving and loading, which is good. Yeah, I mean, we're just kind of in the weeds of it, trying to save data from our active equip zone and then reloading it. So I'll do some thinking about how to maybe reorganize this so that when we go from a load and we run our load bitser load player data method and then change to a play state, we have to make sure that we don't reinitialize. And you know what? Maybe if we just change the order, maybe we change to a play state, then load player data, it would fix that issue. Just because I know, really? I know Lua likes to, or Love2d likes to finish its whole loop. Even if you do a state machine change, it has to run through the rest of the lines of code unless you put a break. So we might be able to get away with switching it. Not here, not here. Yes, so right here, we're going to change the play state, then we're going to load the player data. So we don't reinitialize the item, we just we should overwrite with our load function there. Nope, it did not pull. It did not pull our item slot. Let's see. Let's try to reinitialize and just see. All right, man. I mean, it's just jacked up. Yeah, we got to do some digging. Yeah, with the new item inventory stuff like magic potions, we have not been able to test bits or serialization for this stuff, and it's just more complex with the reinitialization of the global item inventory. So we have to do something, because right now in our play state, we just initialize an item inventory for the thing. But I think, like, for every instance, but I think we need to do something like, well, yeah, we need a global one anyway, dude. Yeah, maybe the move is to not have our init function of stuff like our inventory system have declarations of other class things, because if we kind of manually describe them, as long as we're not loading a game, it could get around this error. But I really don't know. I'm going to have to sit on it and kind of figure it out. But we'll call it a night. Thanks for watching, y'all. I'll be back tomorrow. get some more programming done. I don't know if we're going to figure this out in the next couple days. It's probably going to be a bit of a slog here, but we'll figure it out and we'll get the demo done. Demo is supposed to be done by the end of this month. I'm hoping if we can figure out this load and save stuff. We only have a few more map tiles to make, but then we should be done. So we're still chugging along, trying to finish the demo. So thanks for watching, y'all. I'll be back tomorrow. We will raid out. Let's see. Yeah, we haven't raided Jitsbo in a while. We'll give him a raid. He's always doing some cool stuff. So we'll raid out. Have a good night, y'all. Have a good sleep. Thanks for watching.